Today I'm going to show you how to remove braces in Photoshop. Hey guys, and welcome to Phlearn. My name is Aaron Nace and you can find me on Phlearn.com where we make learning fun. And in today's episode, we're going to show you a simple method you can use to remove braces in Photoshop. Now basically all you need to do this is the brush tool, and we're going to show you a super great technique where you can sample the colors of the teeth and then simply paint over the braces. This is going to be great for any time you have to remove a crowded area. And in the case of braces, a clone stamp tool or a healing brush tool really isn't going to work that well because we don't have a lot of area around the braces to actually sample it. Now fortunately for us, teeth are pretty much just white, so all we have to do is sample the color of the teeth and then paint in over top of the braces. Alright guys, we got a great tutorial. Let's go ahead and get into it. So here's our image for today. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. We're going to start off just with the spot healing brush tool and kind of show you why it's a little bit limited. And the reason is we're in a very crowded area here. So if I just try to paint over the braces with my spot healing brush tool, it's going to get kind of confused and it's not going to know exactly what to do with these teeth because it's a very complex small area. Now the clone stamp tool is really great in a lot of cases, but in this case, if I sample an area here and then simply paint up, that's going to be totally fine until if we get to the top of the tooth, we're going to see it's a totally different color. Okay, so basically there is some color variation from the bottom of the tooth to the top of the tooth. And basically we have a relatively simple area that we need to cover up. It's just white here. So the best tool to use here is actually the brush tool, which I know it sounds like a really simple tool, and it is simple. All we have to do is basically sample the color of the tooth and then simply paint over top of the braces. Okay, so let's continue with using the brush tool. I'm going to make this layer invisible. We're going to create a new layer and I'm going to hit B for the brush tool. Now the real key here is to sample colors and then paint over top of the braces. So hold Alt or Option to sample your colors, and then I'm just going to simply paint right over top of the braces. Okay, now you'll notice here that we do have some color shifts in the teeth. That's not a big deal. Basically, we just need to sample that new color and then paint over top of that area. So we are going to have a bit of a color gradient from one area to another on the tooth, but that's not really a big deal because all you need to do is sample new areas of the tooth and simply paint over top of the braces. Now I know that there are a lot of really complicated, really fun advanced tools in Photoshop, and a lot of the time those are the best options for doing this sort of thing. But in this case, my opinion is that the brush tool is actually the best tool for the job. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue with this first tooth here. We're going to go ahead and paint here on the gum line. And in this case, we actually are super zoomed in to our teeth. And in most portraits where you're going to be removing braces or doing this type of work, you're not going to be this zoomed in. So if it works at this level, it's going to most definitely work when you're a little bit further away. Okay, so you may get something that looks like this, with your first try of removing braces just using the brush tool, and that's totally okay. What I recommend doing is zooming out, and you can see how I've sampled a few different colors here. So the next step is to blend these together. So what you want to do is you want to choose a larger brush. So I'm going to make a larger brush. You can use the open and close brackets to make your brush larger or smaller. Okay. You want to right click and make sure your hardness is set all the way to 0. And then you want to put your flow to about 10%. So I'm going to hit Shift and the number 1 to bring my flow to 10%. And this really helps with blending. So I'm going to hold, basically, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to sample this color, and now I've got a larger brush, so we're going to sample this color and start to blend things together. So we're sampling here, there we go, and then we just simply paint over top of this area. There we go, and you can see how everything is blending together. So we started off by removing the braces, and now we're just blending all the colors together so we get a more unified tooth. There we go, and we'll sample up there and then simply paint in. There we go, and even here. So you want to make sure you get some of your contouring in there, like the tooth is going to get a little bit darker towards the edges. That's totally normal. Okay, that's just how light works. And there we go. So now we're going to zoom out all the way, and I'm just going to make sure that we brighten this up just a little bit more right around here. There we go. And let's choose a little bit of that white and just kind of brighten it up right there as well. Okay, so there we have, let's just turn this off and on, and you can see basically there's our tooth revealed underneath that brace. Okay, so we're gonna zoom in, we're gonna do one more here, and then we're gonna kind of speed things up because it's basically just doing the same thing over and over again. So the next tooth I'm gonna remove is right over here. Let's go ahead and zoom in. We got a little bit more complicated area. That's why I wanted to cover this next tool in depth, this next tooth in depth here. So you can see, basically it's kind of dark here. It gets even darker up at the top, and then right behind this area, it's pretty dark as well. So again, we're basically just painting this in. And I know this sounds super complicated, but you can totally do this, guys. My tip here is to use a low flow with your brush. So I'm going back and forth between when I'm actually painting over the top of the tooth, I'm using a flow of about 20 or 30% here. Okay, and then when I'm doing my blending in, then we want to use a flow of about 10%. And that just basically allows you to build up your effect, okay? There we go. Now I'm going to zoom out here. You don't have to be all the way zoomed in when you do this. There we go. And the really great thing here is that teeth are just, again, they're all the same color here. So as long as you get your gradients in there, you know, as long as it looks like you got, you know, white is getting darker when it kind of gets to the edge there, as long as you get that, it's going to look realistic. All right. And there are some keyboard shortcuts that are going to help you change your brush size. So on a Mac, it's Control and Option. And if I click and drag to the left or the right, it's going to make my brush larger and smaller. So hold down Control and Option and click and drag left to the right, or up and down, it's going to get harder and softer. And we'll put the PC keyboard shortcuts on your screen as well. All right, so you can see basically we're just sampling this color and kind of painting it in there. There we go. Because we are in a very small, relatively complicated area, that's why the other tools just really aren't going to work for us. And we have to reveal the white area that's underneath. So basically the fastest way to do this is to simply paint your own teeth in. Which I know actually sounds really creepy when I say that out loud. Paint your own teeth. However, it does work really well. There we go. And then you want to make sure you zoom out, okay? Because when you're zoomed in, you can't see how things blend so super well. So you want to make sure you zoomed out. There we go. And here we're going to just start blending. So bring your flow back to about 10% here. And that's where we're just going to start blending everything in and making sure that, yep, our teeth look like they've got some dimension to them. And there we go. And they look nice and natural as well. So let's just make that visible and invisible there. All right, looks like we need a little bit more gums in there, and you just sample the color of the gums and then paint that right in. Use a little bit smaller brush if you need to kind of define an edge a little bit there. All right, so there we can see, and we basically just removed, let's see these teeth there. Yep, that looks pretty good. So we removed this tooth to start with, and then these here. So again, we're just using the brush tool, guys, and this is totally something you can do. Now, it's the same thing for pretty much all the teeth, so I'm just gonna we're gonna speed this up a little bit so you can just see the entire thing happen really quick. All right, guys, so basically we just painted away all of our braces. Let's go ahead and take a look at our image. So I'm gonna just group all of those layers together, and we're gonna take a look. Here is the before and the after, basically completely removing all of those braces. And again, the longer you spend on this and the more careful you are, the better this is going to look. Now, I'm just gonna finish off real quick. We're just gonna create a new layer on top of everything, and I'm gonna paint with white with my brush tool. We're just gonna use a large soft edge brush. We're gonna paint white here, and I'm gonna change my layer blend mode to soft light, and this is just gonna kind of help whiten up those teeth a little bit. There we go. So we're just gonna whiten them up just a little bit to help them look their best as well. All right, and this same technique is gonna work if you have teeth that you wanna like straighten up a little bit, or if they're a little bit out of line, this is gonna totally work as well. All right, perfect. Well, there we are, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at our before and our after. Here's our before and the after. All right, guys, so you can see how easy it is to remove braces in Photoshop. Simply grab the brush tool, no need for anything complicated here. Sample the color of the tooth and then paint over top of the braces. Now to blend everything together, make a larger soft edge brush, set the flow to about 10%, and then simply sample those areas and then paint in. It's gonna help you blend one area into another, making a smooth transition over the teeth and basically making them look realistic. Now, I was actually one of those weird kids who never got braces, and I was super jealous of everyone who did. Both of my brothers got braces, all my friends got braces, and I thought I was a total weirdo. But looking back, actually, that was kind of cool. Did you have braces? When did you get them off? How long did you have them? Did they hurt? I want to know everything you got. All right, guys, thanks so much. I'll Phlearn you later. Bye, everyone. A series of braces puns? Brace for impact! How was that? Was it brace-tastic? Are those braces on your legs, or are you just happy to see me? Guess what I drove to work today? My brace car. Amazing brace, how sweet the sound that saved my teeth from being not straight.
Good job, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Easy cut.
Each cut.